Last week, we talked about the Battle of Montgomery. And during that conversation, we learned about a young man that was attacked at a Cheddar's because the party that wanted to be seated was not seated together or whatever it is. I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about it, and I want it to be known that when we are having these conversations right now about the extremely disgusting and violent behavior, yeah, your ugly is showing. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hey, this is Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack. And I want to welcome all of you to this episode of Girl, Listen. This is streaming to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And of course, if you're on YouTube, we would love if you would like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to hit the notification bell so you can know what's going on. We do a lot over here, so I won't lie to you. I don't use the bell very often myself, but that's not the point of today's conversation. Today's conversation, I want to talk about our behavior because last week we were discussing the Battle of Montgomery, the riverboat brawl. I like that one. We were discussing it, and it was so easy to get into the very simple optics of white persons attacking a black person, and then black persons getting into this melee with that's easy, but that's not all that happened. That's not all that's there. There were other things that took place that we really got to talk about. And so today I want to do this thing about our behavior as a society, because we love to go into this place of how we're good people, right? We are good people. What we saw those weekends ago, it was ugly on all the sides. It was ugly. And I say it again, it is so easy to see the very obvious white citizens versus black citizens. That's so easy, but that's not the real issue. It's not the real issue. The real issue here is entitlement. Entitlement, and in my opinion, a lack of emotional intelligence. This is where we are. People are doing some of the most disgusting things, and they're also slightly calculated because it's the people who are doing the attacking. Like that mob that attacked Mr. Pickett, yeah, they are thugs. They're thugs, but it was like what, 6 of them or something, and one guy. Right? The numbers were clearly not in his favor until other people showed up, because the young man who was helping him, that young Caucasian teenager, well, they just pushed it aside. They were like, we ain't even worried about you. Right? So he was, it was like 1.5 people versus like 6 or 7, whatever people. But the same thugs who attacked Mr. Pickett are the same thugs who attacked the young man at Cheddar's. The exact same thugs. It's not about ethnicity. It is so easy to see ethnicity first because, our eyes tell us. But you have to get beyond that and really look at the behavior that is happening and why it happened. It's entitlement. So if you have not heard this news report, 4 people, family members, they attacked a teenager, not another adult. They attacked the teenager who was the host at Cheddar's. Now, they had a big group, and they had to wait, and they were also not seated together or something to that effect. Either way, one of the ladies got upset, her boyfriend jumped in or whoever, and next thing you know, all hell is breaking loose. But they're beating on this kid. Now, he hit his head on a brick wall, had a concussion, bruised lungs. Like it was awful, absolutely awful. 4 people jumped a child. He is 17. Got the job, had been there about a month, I want to say, so that he could pay for his senior photos, his senior dues. He is now, of course, since quit. But he was just there doing his job. They didn't attack an adult. They attacked a child, right? The same thugs who attacked Mr. Pickett are the same thugs I'm talking about today. It's not about the ethnicity. It is the entitlement. It is the idea that people don't know how to control their emotions, their disappointment, whatever it is, and they're going to act out. And they're going to take this action on somebody else. Let me just step back real quick, because let's just make sure we're clear here. It's like a Saturday. And I don't know about y'all, but when you have a big party going out to a chain restaurant on a weekend, you're looking for a wait. You could be 2 people. You're looking for a wait. But now you got like a party of like, what, 10, 12? You already know. You should know by now, as consumers that eat out, that if you don't have a reservation, you're going to have to wait. And more than that, step back real quick. More than that, you have a reservation, you're going to wait. So you got people who didn't have a reservation, walked in with a large group, want to know why they had to wait, want to know why they couldn't be seated together. It's so ridiculous that the only thing you can do is attack a teenage hostess because you're not happy. Ooh, you guys are real big people. It is that entitlement that people feel as if they can act and do whatever. Now, I know we talked about vigilante justice these past couple of weeks, and that when we get to our tipping point, we say, okay, in this one moment, I am going to do the unthinkable. I'm going to right the wrong. We'll take a look at that melee. Those persons who were on the boat, who witnessed their coworker and this man get attacked by that mob, said, we're not going to allow that to happen. Took justice into their own hands and gave them a taste of their own medicine. Okay? Is it right? By no means is it right. But in the eyes of our society, we thought they got what they deserved. It's a really weird place to be, which I'm going to talk about. It's a really odd place to say, oh my God, it's so awful and 2 wrongs don't make it right. We say those things, I believe, to make ourselves feel better. I got to believe that that's why we say it, because when the time comes, we all have choices. And we have seen people say, well, if the good guys had guns, well, how do you know that are you the good guy? Are we sure about that? Because if you're running into a situation such as that one, if you just saw the brawl by itself, no context, you would think, look at these people. Look at this foolishness. I'm not going to share any other stereotypes, although I know I could. But it was only after, for myself, I saw how that melee happened, that all of a sudden my perception shifted. And I went from, that was awful, these folks fighting on the dock, to maybe, you know what? If you're going to go around punching people and attacking people, you deserve to be punched and attacked as well. Does it sound awful? Shit, of course it sounds awful. Of course it does, because we're not those people. We don't do those things, right? We are not those people who promote violent behavior, who engage in such things. We are not those people. All right, let's talk about it, because I keep coming back to this place where when people talk about being authentic, it's almost as if you have to add all these extra asterisk to the conversation. When I talk about authenticity, I mean showing up as yourself who you are through and through. But that who you are, in my opinion, there is a certain level of emotional intelligence that is present. You are self-aware, very aware, but you wrap your arms around who you are. You don't fool yourself. Now, let me tell you a couple of things that I hate to hear. I hate it. Detest it. Triggered by it. I'm not that person. It's just really, seriously. What also gets me, we're good people. We're not those people. My favorite, we're good Christian people. But you are that person. You are. I'm not exactly sure when I realized that our society is fascinated with this unrealistic idea of being this super happy-go-lucky, ultra positive, never a bad thing to say person. A robot. I don't know where that came from. And it almost is as if when it comes to how we show up in places and spaces and social circles, that we continue wearing this mask of, well, this is how I am. I'm always happy and things are great and everything's wonderful. Everything's awesome. It's baloney. It's so ridiculous. It's not even close to being authentic. You know what's authentic? It's knowing that you have good days and bad days, knowing that there are moments when you want to just sing in the rain and moments when you want to just punch somebody in their throat. That's real. That is very real. I was chatting with my dear friend, my work husband, Ron. And I said, I don't know where people get this idea that good people don't use vulgarity and good people don't have these thoughts and good people don't do X and don't do Y. Let me tell you real quick. As a creative, I have a very elaborate vocabulary. Okay. We have a really good vocabulary. I don't have to use vulgarity. I choose to use it because it adds a little spice to my conversation. You know, those little, if you are a cook, if you're a chef, you know that you can use salt and pepper and you're fine. But sometimes when you are doing things, you use a little different spice for a little extra, in your dish. I use words the exact same way. And I will also say this, when I am making a point, beyond using the visuals of my face, the tone of my voice, the pace, I'm going to use some other words to get my point across. Because at that point, there's no confusion. Well, I thought she was happy, but I'm not so sure anymore. I'm not so sure. You know exactly where I'm coming from, right? So I know how words can produce understanding and feelings. Am I a good person? I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm a good person. No, I don't like the term good. I don't believe that we have a good or bad. We live in shades of gray. We live in shades of gray, and I live in a world of knowing exactly who I am and what I am capable of, but also having the self-awareness that I get to choose what I'm going to say and do. I'm going to choose it. I don't have to lie to myself and say, I'm not that person. So let me tell you who Gwendolyn is real quick, because I remember sharing some words in a training session years ago. And we were talking about fight or flight. And there was a young lady who said, well, when I get really angry, I cry because I just feel like all my emotions are about to bust out of my chest and I cry, right? I said, well, when I get upset, I puts up a duke. Like I'm going to probably punch somebody if I don't catch myself. I'm a fighter. And she looked at me with like shock and awe, like, oh my God, I can't believe that the woman who's been so nurturing and so welcoming and so giving and pouring into me is also the person who would punch somebody in their throat. Hello, I am that person. I am that person. So let me tell you something that Gwendolyn did years ago. I was at work helping a couple buy like a desk and some shelving, right? Beautiful couple, had a great conversation. Gwendolyn does what Gwendolyn does. They're like, oh my God, Gwendolyn, we love you, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. It's beautiful. Fast forward to the weekend when this couple is getting their order delivered. Now, I am working at a table packing other deliveries, and there's a young lady who is the sweetest person known to man. She really is sweet. I've yet to see her get angry. She's so sweet, like her teeth sweet. But I can hear this customer screaming and yelling and just being flat out ridiculous. And I'm not even close to her. I am like feet away. And I said to myself, this is crazy. Now I'm a manager, supervisor. So I go over and I say, hey, what's going on? So we put the lady on mute, not hold, put her on mute. Cause she's still, rah. She's like, she wants somebody to come to her home right now. Because when we shrink wrap orders, she couldn't get it unshrink wrapped. Like she didn't have scissors. She didn't have a knife. This is so difficult. You guys are awful. All these really ridiculous things. I'm just saying. She wants someone to come to her home right now. So I look at the screen and I said, oh my God, that's my customer. I just talked to this lady like a couple of days ago. She and her husband. This is not the lady who stood in front of me. This is not that lady. And she was just going. And so I said, you know what? I said, you tell her somebody's coming. And she's like, what? I said, you tell her we're going to send her somebody. And she's like, okay. So she gets on the phone. She's like, ma'am, I'm going to have somebody come out to help you. Let me just confirm your address, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. This is when Gwendolyn gets into that mode of, I don't like people who bully people. So I grab a pair of scissors, I grab a box cutter, I grab the company credit card, my company credit card. I got into a cab in New York City, went to this lady's house, okay? And all the while I'm thinking, this is the lady I helped just days ago who was sweeter than apple pie. Had a great conversation, so she opens her door and her body language looked as if she was ready to give the person coming to her house a talking to. And then she saw Gwendolyn. And then her body language shifted because now there was somebody she knew who could hold her accountable for her behavior. Never figured I would come to the house. She's like, oh my God, Gwendolyn, I'm so sorry. I'm just so frustrated. And, and we're doing these things and we're moving and we're doing this. And I just don't know. And oh my God, I feel so bad. And da-da-da. But do you really feel bad? Do you? Because up until that point, you had no problems talking to my colleagues, the people that I managed. You had no problems being disgusting and being rude and just acting entitled. No problems, because the person you were talking to, you would never see them in the light of day. And then someone you knew, the person who helped you purchase this product, came to your house. Now all of a sudden it's, oh my God, I feel so bad. Do you really? Because you're not that person. You're not the person who just acted an ass on the phone. You're not that person. Now, I will tell you that Monday morning, I got called into the office. I'm not going to lie to you. I got called to the office. My manager told me, Gwendolyn, we do not go to people's homes with box knives and scissors. We don't go to their home, period. I was like, well, she said she wants somebody, so I gave her somebody. Yeah. I really don't know how I kept my job for 25 years, but it taught me something that day that stayed with me as I continue to manage people, that we are those people. Please don't fool yourself. Do not fool yourself in believing that in a blink of an eye, you don't flip. Have the choice to flip into that person. You do. We all have choices. You can't control what's happening around you. You do control how you react to what's happening around you. You have that choice. I had a choice as a manager to let this lady behave badly and walk away from it and be like, you know what, it's no big deal. We can do X, Y, Z. I had a choice. Gwendolyn chose to get into a car, go to this lady's house, and hold her accountable. She felt bad. I mean, it was clearly in her body language. She felt like, oh my God, I can't believe. She was embarrassed. She was flat out embarrassed. These are the same people that we record on video when they're like, I'm not that person. I'm not that person, but you are that person. We are these people. We are. I was watching the show 100. And for those of you who have watched it, oh my God. I don't watch a lot of TV, so what can I tell you? But I'm watching it now. And it just baffles me how in a matter of seconds, these really good people coming back to earth went from we're good people to I'm going to torture this guy until he tells me what I need to know for the greater good. I'm going to torture this guy because we're at war. And then it becomes, but we're not those people. We are. We're savages. We are awful people. It does live inside of us. Question is, are you going to let it out? That's the question. The question is, will you act on it? What do they say about character? Right? You know, doing the right thing, no matter who's there, you know, who you are, doing good and bad times, your integrity. Like, you know, we talk about that, right? You know, what is your character? Check it. Check that, right? Because we like to believe that we're not these people. And there's a Prince lyric that comes to mind. It's a song called The Electric Chair. It says, if a man is considered guilty for what goes on in his mind, then give me the electric chair for all my future crimes. We have thoughts. Please don't act like when you're driving your car and you are behind some awful driver who is clueless to what is going on around them, that you didn't have some thought. Please don't act like you're not that person, because that's part of it. That is part of it. It's the thought. Now, do you act on it? Please, God, no. Don't act on it. Don't act on it. Don't do that. Right? But our actions speak louder than words. They do. And I am sure in that moment, I'm telling you, in that moment when I got in that car, I believed, hands down, that I was doing something for the greater good. Yeah. Could it have been handled differently? Of course it could. You know it could. I just said to myself, I'm finna go ahead. She wants somebody, I'm finna give her somebody. I don't know how I kept my job, but whatever. And I don't even know afterwards if she told her husband about the interaction. I know when I left, you know, we were laughing, smiling, all the, you know how you do. You know how you do the whole, oh my God, well, you know, we understand you get frustrated. We get it too. I get frustrated too. Everybody has those moments, blah, blah, blah. We know that, right? But that's the part about humanity that we have to remember. I get frustrated too. But in that moment, I'm like, do I act on it or do I just settle down? Because is it really worth it? The people who attacked a child, I'm saying it again, four adults attacked a child. It's a bitch ass move. It is. It's cowardly. Extremely. It was a child. There's nothing manly or womanly about that. It's disgusting. They're the same disgusting humans who attacked Mr. Pickett on the riverfront dock. They're the exact same people. This level of entitlement that you can do whatever and say whatever. I'm telling you right now, the civil suit, I hope he gets his college funded completely. Go for all the coins, all of it. And if I'm not mistaken, there was a lady who was also fired, I thought from Cheddar's. Oh no, take it back. Different conversation. That was one with Applebee's and the cops had the wrong guy. That's it. You know what? Different conversation there. That's gonna be for another episode. Sticking with our entitlement, sticking with our ridiculous behavior, I want to talk about one last thing as we wrap this up, because we need to talk about it. As we are really focusing on wrapping our arms around who we are and being authentic. Like, if there's anything that I want to do, if there's anything that I want to leave this season of Girl Listen with, it is finding, really embracing authenticity. Not this, let me put on this mask today and shuck and jive and do the whatever, like the Care Bear stance. Like no, like be authentic. Grow your emotional intelligence to be able to look in the mirror and actually like who you see. What did Mike say about the man in the mirror? Starts right here. I'm talking to the man in the mirror. Isn't that what he said? I probably should get those lyrics. Put it in the comments. If you want to make the world a better place, isn't that where you start? Right here, ground zero. As I also look at authenticity and our obsession with being good people, I want to talk about something else that ends this conversation. And it's from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 and 9. It says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast." And the church shall say amen. I'm going to say it real quick. I don't consider myself to be good. I don't. I am kind. I am nurturing. I am all in. I'm ride or die. I tell you that right now. But I know that I'm living the life I'm living by the grace and mercy of God. That much I know. Right? And I'm not going to brag about it. I have no problems saying what I have to say, and I have no problems holding myself accountable. I don't go out there looking for a fight. I'm not doing that. I'm not crazy. Not 100% crazy anyway. But I do understand this. We are all in this boat. And the more that we come to grips with our humanity and extend grace and mercy to others because it was given to us, the world may very well be a better place. That is my thought for you on this beautiful, okay, it's kind of hot. Well, it's not as hot as it could be here in Texas as we head towards the fall and cooler weather. But ponder on that, will you? Give us some thought. Yes. Enjoy your weekend.